To the fence, they jumped 3 times. They're first. Glenn Gooley has all but lost Sean Cleary Farrell, who's done a good job to keep that partnership intact, but was without the aid of his irons at the moment. In what was a dramatic start, as McDermott and Danny Mullins walk back to the parade ring. It is up front, Bushman's Pass, making the bend from Shannon Royal, Velvet Elvis handy on the inside, and the white cap Favori De Champdou. They're being followed by Nick Rockett. Max Charm is next. On the inside is past winner of the race, Coco Beach. These are being followed by Grandero Bello. All appears to be well now with Sean Cleary Farrell on Glenn Gooley, who've moved up into mid-division in Spanish Harlem. Fence 2, Bushman's Pass, landed just the leader, being followed by Shannon Royal, Velvet Elvis, then Nick Rockett and Glenn Gooley continuing to take closer road. On the inside, Favori De Champdou, followed by Max Charm and Grandero Bello in Spanish Harlem and Will Do. Coco Beach, Yeah Man, 2/3 of the way down the field, and where it all began, who was slow there and gave places to My Immortal and then Clark Kent. Stutzikini, Largy Dayball towards the back. On to the next up the far side, and it's Velvet Elvis who just rose first from Shannon Royal. On the inside is Bushman's Pass. These 3 covered by a length and a half. And then Nick Rockett. To the inside, Favori De Champdou, and then Glenn Gooley and Max Charm and Grandero Bello and Yamban next, and then Coco Beach and Spanish Harlem. As they take that fence, bringing them up to the next one at the top of the track. And regaining the lead is Bushman's Pass. From Shannon Royal, Velvet Elvis is third, being followed after a gap, Favori De Champdou and then Nick Rockett, and Glenn Gooley next with Spanish Harlem and Grandero Bello and Yam Man and Coco Beach on the inside, followed by Max Charm, and then Clark Kent and Will Do next. On the inside, Stutzikini, and then My Immortal, where it all began, and finally Largy Dayball. Quite a run now before they'll reach their next fence, which will be number 7, and the first of the 3 back in the home straight. Vying for the lead, Bushman's Pass, Shannon Royal and Velvet Elvis, the 3 are abreast, being tracked by Nick Rockett and the black and orange, then Glenn Gooley. The stable companions followed by Favori De Champdou and Max Charm next for Grandero Bello and Spanish Harlem, Coco Beach to the inside, then Yaman, Clark Kent, My Immortal, Will Do, Largy Dayball has gone by Stutzikini, and where it all began, the tail end of the field. Then they come for the first of 3 fences before heading out on their final circuit. And as they meet up with this one, landing together, Velvet Elvis, Shannon Royal and Bushman's Pass. Little is changed up front, followed by Glenn Gooley, last year's second, onto the heels of the leading 3 as they jump another ditch and go through their starting point in the Goffs Thyestes Handicap chase. Nothing between Velvet Elvis and Bushman's Pass, who just missed it a beat, and between horses is Shannon Royal, followed by Glenn Gooley, Favori De Champdou, Coco Beach next with Yaman creeping into contention. One that has lost ground, Nick Rockett. Shuffle back into mid-division, and then Max Charm and Grandero Bello and Clark Kent and Will Do and Stutzikini. The Troy Town winner attended by Largy Dayball and then Spanish Harlem, My Immortal, where it all began. Embarking on their second and final circuit, another 8 fences left to jump. And little between, Bushman's Pass, Velvet Elvis, gone on by 2 lengths to Shannon Royal. Followed in 4th, Favori De Champdou, then Nick Rockett and Glenn Gooley and Max Charm next, with Will Do making up some ground in mid-division, then Yam Man and Spanish Harlem and Coco Beach next, with Grandero Bello and Clark Kent and My Immortal. Further down the field where it all began, Largy Dayball and Stutzikini. On now to the first of the fences, up the far side. Bushman's Pass, out jumped by Velvet Elvis. Ridden away from it in 3rd, Shannon Royal, then Glenn Gooley. Favori De Champdou on the inside. And they're followed on rising ground by Nick Rockett, then Max Charm and Yaman, the quartered colours next. Spanish Harlem, Grandero Bello and My Immortal, followed by Will Do. Coco Beach next with Clark Kent, where it all began, Stutzikini and Largy Dayball. Going to the next up the far side, Velvet Elvis and Bushman's Pass. Continuing the leading pair, followed by Shannon Royal, Glenn Gooley, Favori De Champdou. Out wide is Nick Rockett, and then Max Charm and Yamman and Grandero Bello and Spanish Harlem and Maya Morton and Cocoa Beach and Clark Kent and Will Do. Loggy Debut, Stutzakini, where it all began. Over that fence, bringing them up to the fourth last. And it's Velvet Elvis, the fractional leader, Cornerstone Walsh. From Bushman's Pass, Philip Inright, break of a length to ridden along Shannon Royal and Mark Walsh, with Glenn Gooley looking poised for Sean Cleary Farrell. These are being followed by Nick Rockett on the outside, Paul Townend as they jump that fourth last fence, Velvet Elvis and Bushman's Pass, a neck between them. Break of 2.5 to 3 lengths to Nick Rockett, and then Glenn Gooley, Favori De Champdou. Shannon Royale is beating a retreat, followed by Max Charm and Grandero Bello and Yaman, now being asked to try and close ahead of Spanish Harlem, and then Clark Kent and Maya Morton and Cocoa Beach, and then Loggy Debut and Will Do. They run the home bend with 3 fences left to go, and it's Velvet Elvis from Bushman's Pass, ridden along on the inside into third, and closing is Nick Rockett, followed then after a couple of lengths break Glenn Gooley, and then Favori De Champdou and Max Charm. Will Do plugs on ahead of Yaman and Grandero Bello, the third last fence, and it's Velvet Elvis over by 2 lengths to Bushman's Pass. After them in third is Nick Rockett. Shannon Royal's been pulled up. They've 2 fences left to go, and on the left hand side it is Velvet Elvis and Nick Rockett on opposite sides of the fence. A bad mistake by Bushman's Pass. They're coming to the final fence in the 25 Goffs Thyestes. Nick Rockett lands in the lead from Velvet Elvis, gone well clear of Favori De Champdou and Bushman's Pass. They're well strung out. Nick Rockett on the stand side for win number 10 in the race for Willie Mullins as Paul Townend punches the air on Nick Rockett. Second is Velvet Elvis. Third is Favori De Champdou.
So it is indeed the favourite, Nick Rockett. Joint favourite in the end. He's down to 9-2. Having been a bit shorter earlier on in the day, it was got the better of the gallant Velvet Elvis. Huge run from him in the first time cheek pieces today. But it is a 10th win in the race for Willie Mullins. Paul Townend got it right, like so many thought he had beforehand on. But fascinating to watch over those last couple of fences with, as Jerry said, the 2 of them wide apart, the first and second. Look at the daylight they put between themselves and the rest.
Yeah, they've come well clear of the rest, Gary, and they're clear of each other in horizontal terms up the run in. And massive run by Velvet Elvis. He was up there in the van. He and Bushman's Pass cut out the pace. We're going to have a look at the start now, but massive run by Nick Rockett, a likely raced horse as well. Here's the start.
I think McDermott just jinked, didn't he, Don? That's how it looked anyway, and cannoned into Glenn Gooley, and Glenn Gooley, then we see last year's runner-up, makes a bit of a mistake at the first fence, and Sean Cleary Farrell loses an iron after that, so he had an uncomfortable time of things for a while. But
yeah, it's a short run, isn't it, from the start to the first fence, and yeah, McDermott just seemed to jink when the tapes went.
Here we are then, as they came across the top of the track, heading now to the final 3 fences, and Bushman's Pass had been up there keeping company with Velvet Elvis for much of the journey. Nick Rockett was very handy early, Don. Then he kind of eased back, Paul Townend, and looked as though he was happy just to find the horse's comfort zone, but starting to look ominous at this stage.
It was, and he was on the outside the whole way, Gary. He set off on the outside. He gave up the outside rail to nobody, and obviously covering more distance, but Paul Townend seemed to be happy that that's where the better ground was, and even when he jumped a bit to his right over the second last fence, he took him back towards the near side. Velvet Elvis jumped to his right as well and ended up on the far side. In the end, Velvet Elvis was coming back at Nick Rockett. He picked up in front of the final fence, but you see there Paul Townend coming back here towards the stands rail. Velvet Elvis on the far side. He's run a massive race and just allowed get into his jumping and racing rhythm early on by Cornerstone Walsh. And you can see on the run down to the final fence, they're both jumping a wee bit to the right, but they've come well clear of the rest. Nick Rockett just picks up in front at the last, and he's probably maintained that advantage all the way to the line. Both riders fairly animated on the run-in, but you can see what it meant to Paul Townend. It's a big day here, Gary. Big win, big crowd, big atmosphere, and it's a very important race for Willie Mullins and his team. And yeah, for Nick Rockett, it's only his second win over fences. He had a good run at the Paddy Power Chase the last day in a seasonal debut. He's obviously come forward from that, and it's a race that Willie Mullins likes to win, as he's demonstrated. This is his 10th win and all.
Glenn Gooley, you see there just unseating at the final fence. Favori De Champdou in the end, best of the rest, ran a blinder for Gordon Elliott and Josh Williamson. But it is Nick Rockett in the colours of Stuart and Sadie Andrew. So those colours carried the victory in a Hennessy back in the 90s by Ever Blessed. And another big staying handicap chase. Won here by the well-fancied Nick Rockett.
Thanks, Gary. He'd been threatening to take one of these. Had been expected to in two of his last three starts. Went off favourite for an Irish national. A single-figure price for the big finale staying race at Sandown, the Bet365 Gold Cup.